Hi, this is Doug Vermeeren and welcome to another episode of Personal Power Mastery Minute. Today we're going to talk a little bit about this concept of thoughts becoming things. In fact, it's been estimated that the average person has around 70,000 thoughts, unique thoughts every single day. And some of those are positive thoughts, some of them are negative thoughts and so forth. But I guess with this idea of thoughts becoming things, I want to say that that actually is not always true. And thank goodness for that, because if all the thoughts that we thought about, boy, it's starting to sound like a Dr. Seuss thing. If all the thoughts we thunk, right? If everything that we thought about became a reality, most people would wind up in jail. Let's admit it, right? You've often thought some things that probably not very nice, right? So not every thought that we think about becomes a reality. And so I want to explore today on how thoughts do become reality, and how we can actually take the thoughts that are most important to us, the thoughts that we'd like to develop, like the goals that we talked about in our last episode, how we can really influence those thoughts to become realities for us. And I want to suggest that the thoughts that we act upon are actually the ones that we're most emotionally invested in. So let's write that down. The thoughts that we are emotionally invested in are the ones that we take action on. And the reason is primarily is in the wiring in our brain, from an evolutionary point of view, we're always wired for survival. And way back with our ancestors, of course, as they were being hunted by predators and a variety of other whatever situations were there that threatened their existence, whether it was the storm or a lack of shelter or the need for food or whatever it could be, we tied those instinctively to our emotions. And so obviously now that's still with us, that we really only act on the things that are highly emotional to us. And let's just use an example. If you were sitting, actually you have done this before, on a lazy Sunday afternoon, you're sitting in front of the television and something that you're not really interested in one way or the other shows up on the TV, but you're just not even that emotionally invested to change the channel. Have you ever done that? You sat through one of these, fishing shows or nature shows, or watched golf in the afternoon? I apologize to those who love those things. It's not really my thing, but oftentimes I've watched that because I'm just not emotionally invested one way or the other to even flick the channel, right? So a lot of times we'll put up with things in our life because we're just not that emotionally bothered by them. In fact, that's why most people settle for the life that they're living, is they're just not emotionally thrown one way or the other to make a change. It's not painful enough or it's not pleasurable enough to create a new outcome. So therefore they just live with what they've got. They settle, right? Versus on the other hand, I have one of my students who is quite severely burned, and the reason why is because their house had a fire in it and their family was still trapped in the house, and he was so emotionally invested in the safety of his family that he went back into the fire to rescue one of his children. So when we have high emotional intensity, it creates dramatic and intense action. Now, as we said in the very, very first episode, it's not always massive emotion that's going to cause us to take action. Sometimes it's just the right little things. And so one of the things that we explore in Personal Power Mastery is how do we attach emotion to the decisions that we logically want, but our hearts haven't yet fully grasped. So in other words, how do you get your heart to fully become invested in those goals that you set, the things that you really want? Now, there's a few tips that I'd like to just share here. Obviously, this is just the surface because we've got the Personal Power Mastery minute, so we've only got a minute here. But the first one is to establish strong reasons why you want that goal in your life. The more intense those whys and the more deep those whys are, the greater emotional impact you'll have to be able to get there. Now, I might mention in our seminars, we push people to actually get to 25 reasons why, because I find that generally people can list the first 5 or maybe even 10. But when you start getting to 15 and 20, you start really getting to deeper reasons why it's significantly important for you. And by the way, I will mention that if you get to maybe 5 or 10 and find that you're not really finding enough reasons why, maybe that's a good time to rethink if that goal is something that really aligns with your true purpose and what you really want in life. And it's okay to let go of a goal if it's not really right for you, but you've got to find out why. So that's kind of number one. Number two, the other thing that I find that attaches a lot of emotions to a reason why is to really look at who will be affected by the achievement of that goal. And no matter what you're looking to do in life, there will be people beyond you that will be affected. Let's say, for example, that you'd like to see an increase in your finances. Let's say even an extra $100,000 a year to come into your pocket, and that's one of your goals this year, is to make that extra $100,000. Well, it's definitely going to affect people other than you. Family members, those in your community, and those that you associate with. Your lifestyle will change, and of course your interactions with them will too. And the cool thing is you can get very emotionally connected to that when you start looking at the intimate family that you could help or bless or gift, special opportunities to. I know that for me, I was raised in a family that was more or less middle class. We didn't have a lot of money. And so when it became one of my goals to become wealthy, I noticed that part of my real strong reasons for why is because I wanted to be able to give my family, my kids, and those in my life a grander experience and to have more financial freedom. So that really became a powerful reason why for me. Now, the last reason I'd like to just share here before we cover some more material is when you can attach your goal to your current values, the things that are really already driving you, your belief systems, and the things that are, I guess let's call it your rules, if you will, for making your life decisions. When your goals hit and coincide very carefully with the rules that you have and your beliefs and your values, you'll find that there's a stronger ability to get there. Now, naturally, we do talk about all three of these in a lot more detail in Personal Power Mastery at the live seminar, but for today, I just want to share these with you. Now, in addition to that, I want you to consider that, even the goals that we are emotionally attached to often have hard moments. And that's an important thing, is to have a correct expectation that at times it's going to be challenging and it's going to be hard. And that those emotions that you have are going to be tried. And that's why it's so important that you go deep with why you really want these goals and who it's going to affect, and that they are attached to your values, because when the going gets tough, it's time for the tough to get going. And you will be tried. In fact, the higher the goal that you try to achieve, the more changes in your life you're going to have to make to get to that level. I always like this idea of people saying that actions speak louder than words, but I'm going to tell you right now that being speaks louder than actions. In other words, you have to be it before that you can have it or do it, right? So again, these tools will help you become that. Now, I want to share one last thought here when it comes to emotion and getting going. Emotion comes from motion. Not only does emotion create motion, in other words, emotion creates the action of you to get to your goals, motion itself also creates the emotion you need. And so a lot of times the students that we have coming into the course, they know what they want for, what they want to achieve, but they've never really started things off. And I've always found that it's easier to get someone into momentum than it is to get them motivated. Motivated means get them to do things that they haven't really yet seen the emotional connection to. Momentum means that they are now moving. And I just want to give an example, like you've experienced this before. Sometimes we're faced with a task that we don't want to do, whether it's getting our taxes done, taking out the trash, cleaning out the garage, mowing your lawn, whatever it could be. These are all things that we look for excuses to put off. How can we put that aside? But you'll always notice that as you get started doing it, it becomes easier to do. And this is the point that I want to make, is that one of the greatest ways to create emotion in your life towards the goals that you're looking to create is to just get started. Get that momentum going, and then with that emotion now running, you can keep it going easier. So anyways, until next time, this is Doug Vermeeren with the Personal Power Mastery Minute. Be sure to subscribe, and we are going to talk about something incredible that will make all the difference for you in the very next episode. So make sure that you don't miss it. And until then, we'll see you next time.